Hey, Gamecock fans, welcome back to another episode of Alumni Game. We're coming out of our winter slumber here. Football is starting to come back. Spring practices, we're through the portal. Recruiting for future years is happening as well. And so we want to get back into things. We got the whole crew here. I'm Mike Ritchie, class of '06. Sam Niedermeyer, class of '06. We got John Buster Clarkson, class of '02. Your
Dang.
core three here to talk Gamecock football. And we're excited. We're going to get into a new Gamecock of the Week, a feature that we started on last season, where we basically profile a player who is somewhat new to the program, who we think is going to make a big impact. In this case, is also a big boy on the defense. We're going with and help me out here, guys, but I think I got it. Tomiwa Durojaiye.
Yeah.
Tomiwa Durojaiye, D tackle, originally from Delaware, was born in Philly, has bounced around. Originally in his redshirt freshman year, committed to Kentucky, but has moved around the country since then. Originally went with Kentucky over South Carolina, which is interesting. So we're kind of fixing that glitch. Went to places after Kentucky like West Virginia, Florida State, and probably for South Carolina fans, most notable that he was on that Illinois squad that we played last year in that testy bowl
This
game that
game,
we did
right?
not win.
Yeah.
So, guys, just some initial thoughts on being back on Gamecock of the Week and Tomiwa here on the defense.
So we talked about this in the little pre-show, but we know that the game of football is won in the trenches. We always say that it's all about the trenches. And now, most of the talk for Gamecock football and Gamecock and Shane Beamer was, what are we going to do on the offensive line? Everybody was talking about the offensive line, and
Yeah.
the big get
Protect
of
sellers
Jacarius
at all
Peak out
costs.
of
Yeah.
NC State, Jacarius Peak, the number one transfer portal tackle, the jewel of the transfer portal class. Obviously, if you are a Gamecock fan, you know that he is out for the spring. He's getting a minor procedure done on, I believe it's just the kneecap. There's not a significant damage to any of the ACL, MCL, PCL type things, but it's something that Coach Shane Beamer has said that he'll be back for the fall, but he is going to take it easy this spring. But to me, the importance of the trenches comes on the defensive side of the ball, especially
Sure.
when you play in the SEC.
A strength
You
of this
got some,
team. Yeah.
yeah, and if you got hosses that are not only strong as all get out, but also have the ability to fight and move quickly and get into the backfield, you're going to be successful in the SEC. And we've seen what we've been able to do, especially a couple of years ago when we were knocking on the door of the playoffs. We had Tonka Hemingway and TJ Sanders manning that defensive line. And even last year, despite the 4-8 season, we saw great play from guys like Gabriel Brownlow Dindy and Troy Pikes. So we want to keep that narrative going. And one of those guys is this Tomiwa transfer that we got out of Illinois. About that, the size that you would expect from, like, say, a Gabriel Brownlow Dindy. He's about 6'4", 6'5". The media guide has him around 300. I expect it to be like 305, maybe even 310 on the heavy side. Once you start playing, you drop a few
Yeah, and that's a little
LBs.
bigger than official. Some more official things still have him around 290 or whatever.
Yeah,
But
but
he's basically been on campus since January, right? So maybe
yes,
he's been
he
bulking up a
came,
little bit.
he was able to come in to participate in winter workouts, and he is available for spring practice. I will say we haven't gotten a lot of big time news out of spring practice. Thankfully, I say that's a positive. Shane Beamer keeping things close to the vest and not letting out our secrets is always a positive thing for me. So if you Gamecock Nation, if you don't hear a certain player's name and you don't hear certain things, it's not that that player's doing bad or anything like that. It's just that's Coach Shane Beamer and staff keeping things close to the vest because we want to go into this season with a renewed sense of urgency. And if we got some secret weapons there, we don't
Yeah.
want to tell our opponents about those secret
Yeah, and
weapons.
I
And
think
one of them could be Tomiwa.
I know. I
Tomiwa could be
think
a
Tomiwa is a great
secret weapon.
example because it hits a lot of things we've said in a lot of different episodes. And this is a quick plug. Obviously, Buster named a couple names there. We did a Gamecock of the Week on Brown, our boy Brownlow Dindy. Check that out. We expect Tomiwa and him to kind of join forces on that defense. So he kind of fits a mold in a couple of ways. He fits the mold for Beamer for guys who can make an impact now. This is an experienced player. This is a redshirt senior. Ostensibly, this is his last year, so he's kind of a rental for 1 year. But he has played in the SEC. He's played in a lot of other programs. He played in a bowl game against us where we lost. So we're taking something that was a negative for us in the past, a guy who passed us over to go to Kentucky and then beat us in a bowl game, and we brought him on the squad, and he wants to be here. So he either saw something in that bowl game or saw something in Beamer previously and is wanting to be here. He brings that experience and he's ready to play now, and he's even bigger than he was last season.
Yeah,
This is also a guy who I think has a chip on his shoulder and wants to play as much ball as he can. I mean, this is a guy, first generation American. His parents came here from Nigeria. So he's got lots of opportunity. Obviously, coming up in Delaware, not like the football capital of the world, he checked out his options and he's moved around. Um, Maybe it was some NIL money that brought him here too. That's got to be part of it, right? But I love the idea of taking something that maybe was working against us and using it, and a guy who's highly experienced. He's going to be able to help teach some of these other
well,
players,
and you
right?
you nailed it on the head, Mike, because like the experience thing, and Sam, like you and I have talked about this, like we could bring in talented athletes, and we have, like we brought in like Christian Ingram last year. We brought in this year Aiden Harris, a four-star
Yeah,
defensive
big
lineman.
athletes, yeah, but
Big time players, but those guys, especially when you play on the trenches, there is a learning curve. There's a developmental period,
yeah, and we don't
and
have time
as
for
talented as those
that.
guys are, you need a veteran to help one guide them along during spring practice, fall camp, and stuff like that. But two, those guys will have the ability to play in the game and make some plays and flash, as we say. But you need experience to be able to handle the entirety of the game, the entirety of the fall camp,
Yeah,
the entirety
and he even
of
has some
all the
experience in
things
the
that come
SEC,
along.
which is rare for us to get. You know.
Yeah. So
Um,
to
was
me,
originally, like we said, a 3-star out of high school, but as a transfer was a four
he's
star Dean's list. Guy was on the Dean's list, smart guy, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I see a lot of positives here from Shane and then him, and then as far as us in Gamecock of the Week, like I said, fits right alongside Brownlow Dindy. Feels like a guy that we should profile because we know who he is and we know what he can contribute, you know. Now, do I expect him to do a lot more than he's done the last few years? I don't know. I think I read something like 10 tackles, 5 sacks last year. You know, I would expect more than that if he's starting a lot of games. But what do you
Five
think
sacks
on
from the
that front,
interior though,
Buster? Do you
because
think we
so
see him early
Sam,
and often?
my thing is so what I saw was that he is versed in the four technique. So if you understand defensive line and your zero technique, two technique, four technique, 5 sacks is actually pretty good if you're fighting from the interior. The D linemen on the interior, whether you're playing nose or like a two technique or a four technique, the idea is that you are not there to necessarily get sacks. You're not necessarily there even to get tackles. What you're there to do is clog running lanes, take on double teams so that your edges can get free to get to the quarterback, things like that. So if you're getting 5 sacks when that may not be your primary responsibility is a pretty good thing. And so that's where you look at his profile. They were talking about he's great frame, and I don't know if you guys remember, like when we did the Gabriel Branlow Dindy episode last year, and we talked about his size, and he had these ginormous shoulders. You could land a freaking airplane on the back of his shoulders. Like he was that broad. I'm getting the sense that Tomiwa is of the same ilk physically, and if he's going to carry that same kind of profile as Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, as far as strong, heavy hands, ability to fight and engage in these double teams, then if his primary responsibility is to free up Dylan Stewart on the one side of the edge,
Fine,
maybe Kale
fine,
Herring on the other
yeah.
side of the edge, then job well done. Job
Yeah,
well
I mean,
done,
that's what
buddy.
it feels like to me. It feels like another piece to just slide in, another domino to slide in with some of the bigger dominoes that we've talked about. Dylan Stewart, Brownlow Dindy are going to have much bigger impact than Tomiwa, but Tomiwa provides the base for those guys to succeed. And maybe that's why he wants to be here. That might have been a driving factor. Seeing Dylan Stewart play, and then not really play in the bowl game, and then being like, wow, I could contribute over there, and I don't really want to stay at Illinois. And knowing that the playing time is there, and there's a gap when those guys aren't out there, I'd be salivating for that.
You
I mean,
know,
this is a guy.
the funny
And
thing.
now he already has a nickname, so we can't do that like we like to do with some of the new guys coming in. The nickname here, Big Tommy, which I think goes right with you, Buster, that he's just big in everything he does.
Well,
In
speaking of
fact, one of
big,
those
my
sacks was a
favorite
forced
thing,
fumble.
and
Um,
I what I loved about this, and like Sam, I sent you a couple of the pictures, but the last when we did Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, like I sent that picture, and I was like, dude, look at the size of this guy. I sent that picture to you. Look at the pipes that he's got for arms. Like this
dude,
is that's a D lineman right there. Look at those pipes. I mean, this is that's
Yeah, it's
pythons
huge.
coming out of those shoulder pads.
should we bring up
That's what
some
I
of those
love to see.
photos, or do we
Like
want to go to some tape instead?
we'll see what his playability is like, come the season. But if we're just going off of, it's kind of like you go to a car dealership and you go take a look at a car. Yes, you want reliability, gas mileage, and all those different things. But man, is it fun to take a look at the eye candy and you see someone like this guy that is just a monster. Those pipes can't get over those pipes.
And
Dang.
he's got some moxie too. You know what I mean? Like he's got some personality. Um, Here we'll get a photo up here. Maybe I can share my screen real quick.
I'm kind of I'm kind of I might be iffy on this guy. And I don't want to be a hater, but uh I don't let me ask you a question. This is like the third season or so since NIL started where it basically free agency was
Right,
for
right.
players, right? By the third season. I think I'm starting to kind of like starting to be like, okay, this is like now it's I can't get too hooked on these guys. He's just gonna leave after a year, right?
I know. There he is right there smirking, if you guys can see that. But that's a little of
But
what
do you
Buster's
have
talking about.
that one picture? He's in his Illinois uniform.
Let's see what else we can get with Tomiwa here.
There was another one where he's in his uniform. He's in his pads and all that, but you could see the arms poking out, and it was just like, holy. Oh, there it
Yeah,
is. The
there's a
second picture.
few. This
There,
one's pretty
show that
good.
second. Yeah, look at those pipes,
This
man.
one right here, I think, is probably better. Here, let me bring that up. Oh, oh, oh.
No, we don't want to subscribe to Orange
No, I
Media.
know. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell this guy what this guy's rocking with. Oh, well, I'm getting wild here. Oh, all right. Things are going south for me with sharing here. Um, but
Well,
yeah, there
so
he is
my
in
question is,
Illinois. I think that probably would have been either after his forced fumble or his sack in that game. But
Sam,
yeah, he's freaking huge. It's
you
unbelievable.
brought up a great point. So with him, we look like the idea is that if he is in his final year of eligibility, we don't have to worry about him leaving. Like he's wanting to go out with a bang.
Right.
Obviously, potentially, do well enough, be productive enough to be consideration for the
Yeah.
draft.
And ostensibly
Um,
he's making a little money too. We're
oh yeah,
almost
yeah,
assuredly the way we snake
I
him
hope
away
his
is by
motivation
paying
is
him.
to want to get drafted high. I think
yeah.
that's the only motivation that this guy can get, which is fine, which is great.
And maybe some
I'm
NIL
starting to get
money.
that
And like I
NIL
said,
bad
being Dean's
taste.
List, who knows? I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what he's going for a degree here, but he may even be into post grad already, you know?
So, well, what I was going to say, Sam, what do you think about this? So, Gabriel Brownlow Dindy is kind of our elder statesman on the line. You also have Troy Pikes, who we got in last year. This guy, he wasn't with us last year, but he does bring in that experience. But behind them, we have Kelby Collins, Noah Clark, Aiden Harris. Are you okay with the depth that we have at D lineman? Like, let's say that all these guys are physically talented, they're all 4-star level athletes that have a chance to be difference makers at a Power Five team.
hmm
But do you think that we have enough depth, including him? Let's say he does phenomenal and we see him and Gabriel Brownlow Dindy start, but behind them, we have a bunch of young players. Are we okay at depth, or is this something that
This is a good depth piece. Putting it that way, right? I guess I just actually, you guys want me to bring up the tape? Should we bring
Yeah,
up
yeah,
some
let's get some
video?
yeah,
tape up
yeah,
and we
yeah.
can talk about
I'm
his technique.
I'm good with that. Here, let me
Yeah, I mean, I think that just piggybacks on what we were saying before. We know we got the starters, Dindy, Stewart. We need a depth behind him. We need to get those guys some rest every now and then. And this guy feels like a guy can just slide right in and do that, you know? Um,
So this is from the Rival 247,
okay.
right?
Okay.
Website. That's why this is their video that I got right from his
All right, so
player
that
Oh
was
man,
card.
getting in there.
that's high school coming off the edge. So obviously in high school he's probably a little bit lighter, but you see,
Just a
you
monster in
know,
high school.
we did talk about one of the things that made TJ and Tonka so special for us was how explosive they were. If he started out at the edge position, obviously outgrew it when he gained some weight, but
Coming
he
screaming off the
knows.
edge in all of these highlights.
But if you start off at the edge, you know what it takes. You know the fundamentals of being explosive,
Yeah.
and that serves you well even when you move to the interior because then you know how to explode off the line. You can knife through a double team before it's even set up to try to block you.
Yeah, these
I mean,
even
look at
aren't
that.
even blown coverages or whatever. A lot of these guys are
No,
playing him
it's
pretty
just
well. He just pushes them back.
yeah.
That one he's pretty much untouched.
Ah,
He looks so
man,
explosive here. Now, again, a
dude.
quick note that this is a while ago. You know, he is a redshirt senior now. Um, but so much power to push him that far back. Like, and think about how much bigger he is now.
Actually, he was
Back
the
then,
first one there. He got double teamed right
yeah,
off the
back then he
block.
was probably 250, so he's got an extra 50 pounds now.
Oh, and
Um,
then here's the other thing. He's also being coached by Travian Robertson. Like you can't beat that. Like you get coached by a guy that is a Gamecock through and through, played in the NFL, preaches about technique, was trained under our former defensive line coach Brad Lawing, who was a genius. He got the most out of Melvin Ingram, Jadavian Clowney. So that kind of pedigree, coaching that kind of pedigree, you have to believe that the positive returns on this guy is going to be through the roof.
yep. And
You know,
that's
our defensive backs are usually the really good ones that get drafted high and like play long in the NFL, but we got some players now from DL, like from D line. Like we really do, right? It's going back to Clowney and then you had who was
Oh,
the
I see what you're getting at, Sam. We're DBU, but
Melvin
maybe we can be
Ingram.
DLU now
I'm
too.
sorry. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, like,
yeah,
listen,
yeah.
there's a long ways to go, but we have a lot of good like defensive linemen in the league now. The guy who just got drafted by Buffalo this year or last year.
DJ Sanders, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And then by the Bengals. Oh no, that was a linebacker. That was Demetrius Knight.
Demetrius Knight. Yeah,
This is
Demetrius Knight was
fun
with the Bengals.
seeing these fields too. So this is all pretty much Delaware, Middletown, Delaware, where he's from. Looked like they played some games at UDel with the Blue Hens on the field there. Coach doing a good job recruiting out of that area. You know, we talked
Oh
about
yeah.
who'd we talk about, Buster?
Well, it was
Marshawn Lloyd.
he ended up transferring, and I think that was less about him. It was Marshawn Lloyd, 5-star running back out of DeMatha Catholic School there in Delaware. The biggest issue, he did transfer to Southern Cal, but that was less about wanting to play for Coach Shane Beamer, more about at the time the offensive scheme was not the best, and he was not. I don't think he was utilized because that was under Coach Satterfield, which that was a disaster. If he would have stayed and probably played that year under Dowell
Yeah.
Loggins, although we didn't really need him because that year under Dowell Loggins we had Rocket Sanders,
Right,
and you saw how that turned out. So
right.
there's a lot of lot of stuff in there about that. But the fact is, it has shown. One of the other guys that Dylan Stewart was out of Maryland, like that DMV, Chesapeake, Delaware area. We were unknown there until Shane Beamer came into the picture. Now, granted,
Because they
we
all went to
know that
Virginia Tech. They all went to
Yeah,
Virginia
I was
Tech.
exactly,
gonna say
exactly,
like Virginia
exactly.
Tech, Virginia,
Michael Vick's from
Maryland.
that area. Like there's a Allen Iverson's from that area. Like there's a lot of
Yeah,
really good athletes that come from that area.
great athletes. Like, so I have a buddy that is a Virginia Tech alum. He's from Mechanicsville, Virginia, and he was telling me all the stories growing up about how at the time Frank Beamer would lock it down at Virginia Tech with pretty much that entire area. And he said now he's seeing Shane doing the exact same thing, except instead of them going to Blacksburg, they're coming to Columbia, South Carolina. So,
Incredible.
you know,
Some of these are
They know
great
that
too,
area.
just
They know that area.
disrupting the quarterback, like getting his hands up and deflecting. That's going to be great for our secondary to pick it off. And just his speed too. I think one thing that doesn't come through with his stats is like you said, the speed coming off the edge. And I still feel like even in the interior, that speed is going to be great because a lot of these quarterbacks are going to want to roll out to the sides, and he's going to be able to
oh
help
yeah.
track them down, or at least
Y-
corral them for Stewart or Dundee to execute.
There's a
Sam,
Um,
lot. There's a lot of.
speaking of which, quick question. So, talking about that area of recruiting, Newport News, is that still a hotbed for talent there as well?
I think so. A lot of them have moved up towards like they've moved to the Norfolk area, but that area like around Varina too. I think that's still pretty much a hotbed. They were going to Penn State after what's his Shane Beamer's
Shane,
dad, Frank. After Frank Beamer left, they started going up to like Penn State.
right,
And I don't think anyone from the SEC touched them. Oh, Clemson. I think a few of them went to Clemson. So like
right.
they were still like pumping out athletes, not nearly as much as the day back in the 90s, but
yeah, I see what you guys are saying though. That whole area was affected by a lot. Frank Beamer retiring, new realignments that kind of took teams in different directions, and who were they competing with directly? And then that
Yeah.
area, honestly, when I think of that area, I think more baseball, lacrosse, basketball.
so there's a
I
Okay.
lot
don't
of
really
good
think
baseball
about it as
players in the
core
area too.
football.
Oh yeah, the baseball.
David Ray,
Jackie
Ryan
Bradley Jr.'s
Zimmerman,
from
Jackie Bradley
what
Jr.
Prince Edward? Is that
Yeah, like there's a
Yep.
yeah.
lot like baseball is the predominant sport out there now. Like so it was like football for a while, but now that it's like baseball is like really good. Khalil Green, like there's a bunch of really good
Oh
baseball
yeah.
players now. The
Was
Uptons, the Upton brothers.
were the Vic brothers from Norfolk or were they from Newport
They
News?
were so I think they were from Norfolk down near Chesapeake. So that's the area that they all kind of like are moving south. So the area is still a hotbed, but like just south of that where the peninsula is. So Newport News and Norfolk or sorry, Newport News is like on the peninsula. And just south of that is of the James River. It's like this really wide river right there at the Chesapeake Bay. And then just south of that is like Chesapeake. So they're all like moving down towards like Chesapeake and that in Suffolk, like that area right there is like baseball mecca.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I
And
see with
that's where like football is becoming really good down there too, but it's all the same area.
Yeah, and I mean you can even see from some of the early videos, right? If he's playing games over at Delaware, I mean that's a D2 program, right? Like so
Hmm.
like the D1 programs, and even then, even with him and where he went, right? So he picked Kentucky originally, but then went over to West Virginia, obviously being closer to home. From there, you think, okay, maybe you want to go ACC. That's why he ended up Florida State, and who knows what Florida State was doing. I mean, they've been kind of
Yeah.
a mess for a little
I mean,
while.
it also could have been so it looks like right around the time where Florida State was going for that undefeated season, right? So I mean, it could have been a really like that shows you that they were looking for like really good players. So
Yeah.
that social credibility there makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. And I'll
Yeah.
say
Okay.
this, I don't want to give our coaching staff too much credit because we're kind of new on the offensive side, but I do feel like they're going to be able to eke more out of him on the defensive side, assuming that he's
Oh yeah.
healthy and like we said, the draft stock can improve. It does feel
Well,
like, you know, he could be a pretty integral piece on the depth chart to make sure that we keep Dylan Stewart healthy, that Dindy
Well, I
is,
mean, the most important thing is that whatever fluctuations we've had offensively, the one constant you could say about Shane Beamer's tenure has been Clayton White and his defense. And if Clayton White is signing off on a player like Tomiwa Durojaiye, then I have all the confidence in the world in this guy, and I can't wait to see his production in the fall.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
to
There's
close on that, all the stuff that we talk about with this team and the things that can happen on offense with Kendall Browse, the one thing that has always remained constant is we've put out a good defense since year one under Shane Beamer because
Mhm.
Clayton White knows how to coach. You have Torian Gray on the back end. Yes, Sterling Lucas is gone, but Deion Barnes is in, Travian Roberts is in, and these guys have been producing great athletes with a great defense. I trust what's going on, and I cannot wait to see what Tomiwa is going to look like come fall.
I mean, when you play defense at South Carolina, like now it's like gotten to the point where there's a very good chance that you will be drafted.
Yeah.
Like a very good chance. It doesn't
And
matter what
we saw
position
the
you
peak
play.
of that
Because like we're getting like
last year,
55%,
right?
60% of our starters drafted every
Yep.
year.
Check
Yeah,
out our
I mean, like
episode from last
not
year from the
even
draft
Nick
class.
Worry. Like you go back to DBU of Sheldon
Yeah.
Brown, Andre Goodman, to Stephon Gilmore,
It's like
Jonathan Joseph,
75% now.
and now we have Nick Worry, we have J.C. Horn, and now we got T.J. Sanders, Tonka Hemingway, and then potentially a Gabriel Brown Lodindi and a potential Tomiwa Durojaiye.
I like it. I like it. I like it. So, guys, that's going to be the first new Gamecock of the week for the upcoming season. Obviously, like Buster said, don't judge too harshly what's going on in spring practices. Things they seem to be keeping a lid on things. We'll find out if we'll get to see the spring game this year. They didn't televise it last year, so hopefully we get to see it
There's
this
no
year.
spring game this year. We're just going to do some practices. I'm pretty sure there'll be
Yeah,
some
like
glorified
the
scrimmages,
scrimmage
but
practice or something.
there's
Yeah.
nothing's going to be on film. So you're going to get all your information from me, this guy, and then this guy.
Boots on the
Yep, yep,
ground.
yep, yep. And we're excited to start with a player like Tomiwa too, right? It's a lot of things we talked about in the portal, being able to get a guy who can contribute right away. The strength of this team has been the defense. We got to lean on the defense, and that's what coach is doing, and that's what we're here to talk about. So, you guys want to hear about? You guys want a specific Gamecock of the week? Please tell us. Please like,
Yes.
comment, subscribe if you like what we're doing here. Let us know what else we can bring for you. We're excited to talk more through spring practices and profile a couple of new players as well. Obviously, the draft coming up. Hopefully, we'll see some South Carolina players go there. They're obviously succeeding all over the place in the NFL right now. We mentioned him in Yuri, and then we'll talk a little bit more recruiting for future seasons too, 26 and 27. But guys, it's great to be back. Great to be talking ball. Great to be talking
Yeah.
about a new player who can contribute. But I think that's probably going to do it for this episode of Alumni.
Game.
Cox!
Game.
Cox!
Cox. Big Tommy, baby. Do, 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 do.